there was some mutual interest between Ben Simmons and the Knicks. The Knicks also had interest. Has there been any progress with that?
So yeah, I appeared on another show about a week ago, and I discussed Ben Simmons and the Knicks link with the last roster spot available. And I know that there's been a lot of conflicting reports that have been out there, namely about the Sacramento Kings, the Boston Celtics, and more. And when I was on that show, I said that there is mutual interest between both the Knicks and Ben Simmons. And from everything that I know, there still is a level of interest. I know that Brian Windhorst has gone on threads and said that, Ben Simmons would make a decision within the next week. And in my digging and just question asking amongst folks that are in the know, Ben Simmons is looking for a place where he can fit, where he can distribute the basketball and when they're shooters. And when you look at the New York Knicks, they have that with Jaylen Brunson for one, and also guys that can create their own moves to the basket. And they've made some moves in the offseason with Clarkson to solidify that. And they also have Carl Towns who can shoot the ball. So, from all indications that I've gotten, the Knicks are in the mix, but there are some other teams that are available. And the Celtics is a thought process of Ben Simmons for a couple of reasons. Number one, Jason Tatum being out for quite a bit of time does give more options for players who are looking to audition for their next role. But the thing that I am a little bit concerned about with Ben Simmons in Boston, namely, is the fact that I know that in the past there are players that are on that team that have said some things on record about him, kind of clowning him in the past, and even a teammate of his that he had in the past that I'm not sure if they shored up their relationship. So I know Sacramento has been talked about, but I also know that Mike Brown salivated over the notion of Ben Simmons potentially joining the Sacramento Kings last season at a point, and it didn't happen that way. So I think that the combination of the shooting and guys that can get open shots, the defensive prowess that Ben Simmons does offer, as well as his ability to play defense at a high clip, are attractive to the Knicks, and hopefully Ben Simmons makes his decision soon.
Yeah, absolutely. He brings a lot of versatility to the Knicks. If he did come here, like he could play point guard, he could play all the way up to power forward center. So like I think having a versatile person like that absolutely would help the Knicks. You know, not everybody is looking for the old 25 9 and 9 Ben Simmons, but he's still a very valuable piece in the NBA.
I spent some time with Ben Simmons during the season, um, right before he was with the Nets, and we kind of took it back to the essence of just injuries and the back. And I shared with Ben a personal story where last year I was working out with my trainer and my back gave out, and I said to him, there was a point where I actually could not get up, like I was laying in my bed for like a day. And the first thought process that came to mind was, Ben gets a lot of heat because of his back, but there are some other issues besides that. But the thing that I focused on was the back and the injuries. And I shared with Ben, I said, I really didn't realize, I don't play, but I never really realized how pivotal or how important your back is until it gives out. And then you can't stand up. You can't, do some of the things you need to do. You can't walk to the refrigerator to get some water. And he smiled and he goes, yeah, like I asked him basically, would you rather hurt your knee or your leg or your back? And he said, you need your back more than you might need your leg. Like your leg, you can heal from, the back gets tricky. And then in our conversation, we started talking about some of his influences in basketball. He told me that the three guys that stood out to him on the basketball court growing up were LeBron James, Magic Johnson, and Dwayne Wade. Wade, I did not know his ability to attack the basket, early in his career, he played the point guard position in Miami, and then kind of switched over more full time to the two. But LeBron and Magic were two guys that he really watched tape of Magic, and then watching LeBron early in the Miami Heat days, and even in the Cleveland days, the first stint. And as I'm thinking about that conversation then, and I'm looking at a fit now with the Knicks, if he were to sign with the Knicks, I think the thing as a backup coming off the bench that helps them quite a bit. I think of Jaylen Brunson when he got hurt during the season. He was out for a period of time. Um, there were questions that I had about playmaking, and those questions were actually answered. I think Jaylen Brunson actually getting hurt actually rallied the troops on that team and allowed them to kind of figure out what life would be like. And I think you saw another flash of that again with Carl Anthony Towns, where there was a point where he was out, and you kind of saw what life would be like without him. And then once they all got it together and went into the playoffs, they kind of they did get it together. It just wasn't the outcome that many thought would be. But imagine a world where Ben Simmons was in that equation, both defensively and as a playmaker. I think his ability to see the court above everybody. I know a lot of times I've heard this rhetoric in the offseason. People talk about Ben Simmons mixtape videos in the offseason are like Zion Williamson's, and people compare that. And I think in this instance, when you look at Ben Simmons, you're not asking him to come in and be a starter. You're asking him to come in and give you 10, 15 minutes a game, play defense, and get key playmaking stats. I also think his presence defensively blocking shots at people against people at his position is something that is supremely underrated. So I do think Ben Simmons is a fit. I think the Boston Celtics would be a fit as well if he's looking to kind of get more playing time and also get into that spot alongside Anthony Simons and as well as Jaylen Brown. But I think if you're looking to compete for a championship, I think the East Coast is wide open. Uh, and I think that the Knicks would be a fit for him if that's what he's looking to do. But I think 25.99 at this point, no, we're not looking for that. We're looking for a guy that can come off the bench and can shore up some minutes.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think the underrated part of Ben Simmons is that he gives you options. I think last year, you kind of put Mikal Bridges on the best guard, and then you put OG on the best forward. I think if you add Ben Simmons to the mix, maybe Mikal doesn't want to play that guy, and then you could put Ben Simmons in there, or OG doesn't want to match up against this one guy. So you have a little bit more options to have in the mix. Um,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think I think it'd be a great mix. Ben Simmons, if you are listening, there are fans in New York. We do want you here. I think it would be a great fit.
yeah. I think coming from that Clipper system, ultimately getting the buyout with the Brooklyn Nets, and then finding his way to the Clippers. I think you saw flashes of what many people fell in love with in his game, playing alongside James Harden, Norman Powell, Kawhi Leonard with the Clippers. And then as I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking about what you said just about the players that were brought in. Mikal Bridges, to me, I think coming into this past season, there was this expectation that he was going to some I felt, there was this expectation that you would be seeing Phoenix Suns, Mikal Bridges. And I think Mikal Bridges has seen both sides of the spectrum. You've seen the spectrum of playing for the Suns and being a viable six man, and then going to Brooklyn and being the man or expected to be the man. And you'd hope that you'd find some middle ground in New York at Two Pennsylvania Plaza. And I think for the Knicks, it started off slow for Bridges, and then he ended up finding his way. I think that defensively, um, Ben Simmons is going to give you those stops. I think if you're looking at the Celtics, you're looking for shots. If you're looking at the Knicks, you're looking for defense and you're looking for playmaking. I think the Knicks is a better fit for games where you expect Ben Simmons maybe not to play. It's a better cover there than it is in Boston.
Yeah,
And I'll add this, like there was a few years ago, Sacramento was looking to bring in Ben Simmons via trade. This was during the time where the conversation was being had about James Harden and Ben Simmons, and Simmons ultimately being traded to and Harden coming to Philadelphia. So Sacramento has salivated over him for a long time. I also know in years past the Golden State Warriors were another team that were looking to bring Ben Simmons in as well. NorCal has been calling his name for quite a while. He did find his way to Southern Cal with the Clippers, but he's played most of his career in the Eastern Conference, playing for the Nets and the Sixers. And New York is a familiar territory, just a different borough that he played in. And I've seen things online where people say, well, he doesn't want to come to New York because of the fanfare or lack thereof that he got in New York. It's a different environment at the Garden than it is at Barclays Center, even though people are familiar with your game, either having played for the Nets or playing against either team as in a Sixers uniform. I just think the Knicks would be a good opportunity for him to kind of repair the perception or his image, and I think winning cures all. I think that's a situation. But to just go back to what you asked me, the Knicks and Ben Simmons do have mutual interest in one another. It's a matter of which team he decides to pick.
yeah. Hey, thank you for the update. Hopefully, we can get an answer soon on that.